Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit.
Live.
Sky is the limit. Let's go.
Y'all turn up. That's it. You see it. We in the house. It's me and my brother Darian. D Maestro in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, it is another night of Between Sundays. And y'all pray for Jay. No, Jay is fine. Jay is off for the night. He'll probably catch us in the comments section. So shout out to my boy Jay Mars. And thank y'all for joining and tuning in on tonight. As you see, I'm sitting at the table, so I'm trying to work stuff from over here. So I'm gonna be playing around with these buttons, getting the experience from sitting over here on this side of Jordan. That's how you talk like church folk, on this side of Jordan.
This all side right. Of Zion.
This side of Zion. You know what I'm saying? Pray for me. Jay, I did say pray for Jay, y'all. Pray for Jay. Jay is fine, though. Amen. We thank God for life, health, and strength. STERNF. Strength. STR.
Strength.
Yeah, strength. Strength.
Yep.
I'm going to decrease while he increase because he know what he talking about. I never know what I'm talking about. So I don't know what I'm talking about. He know what he talking about. So ladies and gentlemen, we turn it over to Darian Brister.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Between Sundays. Tonight is episode 47. Again, we're a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church, ministry operation, and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship arts and multimedia personnel. So we are still in our series of that's called Titles. And we spent roughly about a month or two starting with the function of titles as it pertains to the ministry lens. And so we may not have gotten to it last week, but tonight we're going to start down the path of the importance of titles. All right. I do want to, I would like to maybe take a flashback of some of the conversation from last week. And so one of the interesting talking points from last week, Pelzer had he made a statement about issuing a challenge to particularly the music personnel in terms of, examining maybe a different approach, to how we look at our, let's say, our place or placing ourselves in the ministry as it pertains to, using our gift and, serving a ministry. And so one of the responses that I gave in terms of, why that challenge may be somewhat difficult to embrace is that one of the things that came to mind was, I think many of us, including myself, we have made the mistake of trying to establish making a living inside the church first. And that opened up an interesting dialogue. I did want to revisit that just a tad bit, to add some more, maybe put some more meat on the bone, because I guess I hear that someone may misconstrue the challenge as to say, man, that sounds like a way to get the church out of paying, what it costs.
True. True.
and paying, let's use the terminology, a fair wage. But no, that wasn't the case at all. And even Pelzer mentioned about, listen, you're serving, but you're also being compensated.
Right.
So just in case you kind of missed that part, he did mention that as well. So, but I wanted to maybe talk about, some other things that may make the musical person apprehensive about that approach. And again, to clarify that approach, or paraphrase, it was considering a church ministry that you, in essence, are drawn to because of the vision, maybe because of the chemistry you feel you may have, without even considering what the compensation rate may or may not be. That I'm paraphrasing what that point was. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I had mentioned, many of us, if we're honest, made the mistake of trying to establish how we make a living inside the church first. And again, it's not to say that there are not musical people in some situations that are afforded, they're afforded because of the position, the privilege of making a living wage. But we know that's not common.
True.
That's more of an abnormality than it is a normality. So I guess here's something else as we kind of continue this dialogue, Pels. So something else that I would say is kind of halts us is it is a faith barometer.
Okay.
And let me use this story that I've heard a pastor, lay out. I'll leave that pastor nameless. But the particular pastor, he has been serving as pastor of the church that he's pastoring at for more than 40 years. And almost 30 years ago, he decided to come off of salary.
Okay.
And when he laid the story out, he said, that was something that the Lord laid on his heart. And when it was laid on his heart, his response to the Lord was, I don't trust him. Lord, I trust you. I don't trust your people.
Ooh.
He said, that was my response to the Lord. And he said, the Lord responded to him and said, trust me on their behalf.
Okay.
So I bring up that story to say that there is a faith component with us, because in that instance, we would through one lens, we would have to trust the ministry that, we like how things at least seem from the outside.
Right.
We have to trust that they're not, even though they look well from an outside perspective, we'd have to trust that they wouldn't take advantage.
Right.
And that's something we don't know off bat. Again, that's one lens. The spiritual lens would be, we would have to trust God to move on their hearts that they wouldn't take advantage.
Got you.
So, man, that's a tough deal, depending on where you are in your faith journey, man.
Right.
That's a tough deal. And going back to the first point, it probably makes it even tougher if, aside from that capacity,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't classify yourself as financially stable.
Right.
That that would make it a lot tougher. But let me ask you this, Pels, because this is something that you've mentioned a few times across since we've been doing Between Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, give a little more, I guess, give a little bit more thought behind why you in essence issued that challenge, and how you believe it would benefit the musical person to maybe consider that approach.
To consider which approach?
The approach of, okay, bag aside,
Right.
what ministry would you serve?
So you're saying like, what's the benefit of doing it that way?
Yeah.
So where I was going with that is, and just for context for listeners and watchers, it's more so if nobody asked you to do it and you know what you're capable of doing. Like, for instance, I do photography, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at a church Sunday. They hired me to take pictures for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at the church as if I was a member here, right? I got money. I'm good. I don't even need to do this as a job. And I'm just like, I just want to go here and serve. Seeing that there's nobody taking pictures,
mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I'm good at this. And so I'll do this as a ministry. And also, I'm so good, I'll do it to train people to do it because it'll better this ministry. I'll give you a case in point. Today, I was at City Hall. Shout out to Chris, my buddy Chris. I'm going to just leave his last name out. If you know him, you know him. If you don't, you don't. It's not secret, but this is his job.
Mm-hmm.
He's a photographer. Has been in the game longer than me in photography game. He's creative. He loves my work. I love his work. He took one of the best pictures of me and Tina ever. But I say this. So he's working down there at City Hall. He's getting paid. It's a job.
Yeah.
He has an intern. Now, we all kind of know interns technically don't get paid.
Correct.
I didn't know it was his intern until after the thing was over, and he took me in his office, and he's like, oh, meet my intern. I'm like, oh, the little girl that was running around doing the same work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. He getting paid. The intern is interning. A beast. So I'm looking like, how many churches got interns? Just with picking up a camera, but yet I walk in churches and people go, oh, yeah, my daughter do photography, my son do photography, and can you help them out, mentor them, this, that? And I'm like, first of all, where they at? Yeah. Oh, they ain't come to church today. You want to be a photographer, and I'm at your church taking pictures, and it's people in there that are asking me what kind of camera to get their kid. Well, your kid don't want it. Now, I'm not picking on young people, but I'm making a point to say this is how it should be, even as adults that are good, that got a job.
Yeah.
But you got extra talent and gift. It's like somebody who can sing in church, and they can sing the song better than all the people that y'all trying to get to sing. You a part of the church. Just get up there and sing it. Why you got to be on payroll just to sing?
Yeah.
Now, amicably, when it turns into a job, when it goes into demands, I think I saw somebody say this. One of the posts that you and Jay was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to really be involved as a musician, you need to come out to the Bible study, the men's retreat, the so-and-so, the bowling game, the paintball ministry, and help the kid tie the shoe. Whoa, Kimbo Sabi. Time out real quick. I got a life. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got a life. Let me decide. But narrowing it down to your point.
Yeah.
If people kind of have an axe mentality, ACTS axe mentality, and bring what you have in, we will recognize, hey, you asking for a lot. Y'all got to pay me.
Yeah.
So if you showed up, you moved to Idaho, and and you and your wife and the kids just go to church and you realize there's a Hammond B3 up there and y'all have no music.
Yeah.
So the Lord lays on your heart, let me go in here and play a little bit. They, whoa, Brother Darian from Philadelphia can play. Right? Now, they ain't tell you we'll pay you.
Yeah.
You might sense, y'all might not even have the budget that I'm worth.
Yep.
But I'm going to play.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wise, you'll say, hey, I don't mind training somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my services. Here's my Austin Woodland.
Yep.
During the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Austin, right? Here's how much I charge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you didn't say, I want y'all to pay me, but you still making money.
Yeah.
Because you said, I'll train somebody.
There you go.
Because you like what I do? Yeah. I can train somebody to do that. This is how much it's going to cost. Then you let the ministry say, well, why can't we just pay you? Well, here's my fee.
I'm glad you went in that direction because
it's not that hard.
what that illustrates to me,
mm-hmm.
what that illustrates to me is understanding the difference between you offering what you do versus there being an expectation for what you do.
But notice what I did. Listeners, notice what I did. People will have the expectation because they'll get ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The people that's in the church that want to sing, but they ain't had no musician, or the musician was that bad that they like, this guy don't know how to play none of them.
Yeah.
These people came from Philadelphia then because your business took you way out there and you like, we just want to find somewhere where nobody knows our name.
Yep.
Just to blend in. And then they like, dang, they faced around and found out, that boy good. You know how to work this?
Yeah.
You're like, I do a little something.
Yeah.
Then you do the Darian on it. And the preacher like, that Negro can play.
Yeah.
So then, if the preacher's not greedy and desperate,
Mm-hmm.
they'll know you need a bag.
Yeah.
And they not going to ask you.
Yeah.
So I get back to this point. If you know the man or woman of God is not going to ask you because they do see your value and worth, is it in you to say, it's in me to do, I got to do this?
Yeah.
I always have a camera with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a photographer. I was a producer. I was a church musician, producer, then a pastor. And now I'm just ministering, and I love photography. I always will have my camera with me. You can ask me to take a picture, but when it turns into work, you're going to pay me for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay me for it. Hear what I said? I listen to God, and God don't be telling me to do stuff for free for everybody.
Yes, sir.
The Holy Ghost talked to me, and I know when to hold them, fold them, walk away, and run. It's not that hard, okay? Singers, you can get up and sing a sermonic hymn without getting paid for it. Don't wait for them to ask you, because somebody may be in the room that has never heard your voice before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you always waiting on the bag, you're missing your opportunities.
Yeah.
On the flip side, people, you know when you asking people to do something and you're turning it into a job. Stop it. Sometimes you got to let the church suffer so that the trustees understand this how the service going to get better. You need to pay a guy like that. Why ain't he just get on road? Because he wasn't even feel like it. That's why.
Now, I want to backtrack to something else you said in your initial response.
Mm-hmm.
You made a kind of a I guess they call it an interrogative statement, and you said pretty much, why doesn't the church have interns?
Right.
Man, oh man. If I can lay my hat there for a second, because the whole concept, or part of the concept of the intern, or internship, I should say, is that, there is a professional that is willingly training and pouring into an apprentice.
Right.
That's the crux of internship.
Got it.
However, and I have found this across pretty much every ministry in the church.
Mm-hmm.
I have found that more times than not, the reason we don't see a lot of that internship blueprint in church is because of a lot of territorial issues.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Because the internship is not just, just do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
No. The internship, that apprentice, that they are getting to see and learn the ins and outs of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I have found in many ministries of the church that those in leadership positions, they don't take that approach.
Got it.
They don't take that approach at all. That it's almost like, and we go into the word click. It's almost like they ain't. We good. We don't need nobody new.
Right.
We don't need nobody new. We was doing just fine. Go ahead. You got thoughts?
You know, it's like a bad business, right? There's I'm in a bad seat right now. It's okay. Something happened recently. If you know, you know, and it kind of blew up. And on the one hand, I think it was blown out of proportion, but it was a relevant topic.
Yeah.
But the way it unfolded, the nucleus of it was just off.
Yeah.
That segued into a statement that dealt with prosperity preachers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm in a bad seat, bro. Those of you who listening, hear what I'm saying. Prosperity trickles in on this too.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it puts the focus on the leader who is pseudo the entrepreneur,
mm-hmm.
the business owner. And they won't say this. It's called the pastor,
yeah, or
the pastor's wife, or the ministers. And what happens is the more prominent or important-ish people to run that operation,
mm-hmm.
they're the ones that are looking at, what am I getting out of it?
Yeah.
And I should be here or I should be there based on.
Yeah.
Then the pew is left to the moving goalpost.
Mm-hmm.
If you sow a seed today,
yeah,
you're going to get that. And when you get to the goal line and you try to do the tush push praise and somebody figured it out and stopped you from getting in,
yeah,
then we move the goalpost
yep,
further and you got to come up with another play.
Mm-hmm.
So the pew is always told that you're going to be rich.
Yeah.
And they are never designed to get rich.
No.
Right? It's only to keep the economy rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if the leader is narcissistic, they only preach the perspective of prosperity that keeps them above everybody.
Yeah.
And when it starts to happen like that, they don't see all that operation as, it's kind of like, yo, when you came here, you were driving a bucket,
mm-hmm.
and now you got a nice little Camry.
Yeah.
So you need to keep quiet. And you like, but you got me playing 5 services.
Yeah.
And I'm still at a low 5 figures.
Exactly.
And y'all pulling in millions.
Yeah.
The math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing.
And so then it starts to get into all of the smaller ministries that are trying to mimic the real successful ministries. They don't see we don't have the same type of budget.
Yeah.
So because they want the same look.
They want the same look, same results.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's like a church that's streaming. You got 10 members and you streaming. Oh, we trying to reach the people on the internet. You ain't competing. Everybody's scrolling right past. We can't hear the drums. We can't hear the organ. We can't hear the background. We don't see the crowd. You know, this is entertainment, people. It's like, do you have a clamshell old Nokia phone?
Yeah.
No, you have an iPhone, at least a 12 and up.
Yeah.
So think about that. Which iPhone is your ministry? Some of our ministries still two-way pages online. Okay, so you ain't
Hit me on the
competing.
two-way.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So from that, you do need the help.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't force the volunteership
Yeah.
on somebody without understanding relationship wise.
Absolutely.
Where am I at? And the talent is not respected.
Yeah.
The gift is not respected because
Yes,
the entrepreneur only wants results.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Right?
Uh-oh.
And then the entrepreneur wants the results, but then I gotta pass back over to you.
Mhm.
But then the non-musical people that's making musical decisions,
Yeah.
they actually are doing their job and they're only looking at numbers.
Yep.
And they don't have the understanding. So we have this big break.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we can go to a small ministry and get the bigger dollar.
Yeah.
And a ministry that got more than enough to give it to you,
Mhm.
they crossing T's and dotting I's, and they like, well, brother, I'm trying to understand why we. So
Yep.
ask the entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Ask the entrepreneur.
Ask the entrepreneur. They know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Sorry, I got
No,
Randy
it's-
Keith over here.
So it's so good. It's so good because the internship thing, I think it plays right into where I wanted to go today in terms of the importance of titles. Because again, like I said, I found a lot that we don't embrace the internship model as we really should. We just really don't. And so then I'm basically moving in the direction of not only the importance of the title, but the importance of the right person having the title. Because the right person having the title, their model of operation is going to have a lot more elements of internship versus the elements of, oh no, we good. I got my team. We good. We getting it done. Ain't no complaints. Everything look good. Did we make any mistakes? So why we need new people? The why we need new people is problematic, and that should be an indication. Okay, we got to take a look at who's in that leadership seat,
Right.
There is a disconnect and a dysfunction there. Now let me take this route. As we talk about the importance of leadership. And let me make this statement. I liken the leader of a ministry in the church to a co-pilot of an airplane. All right, one more time. Leadership of a ministry in the church should be likened to a co-pilot of an airplane. Notice I said co-pilot, not pilot. All right. Now, I got a few things to, let's say, correlate when you look at the functions of a co-pilot from, a secular lens or from a non-spiritual lens. All right. One of the co-pilot's functions is what they call CRM, crew resource management. Co-pilot plays a vital role in crew resource management, which involves effective communication and teamwork between the flight crew to enhance, this is the part I love, to enhance safety and decision making.
Nice.
To enhance safety and decision making. Let me go to one more and then I'll, just kind of peel back a little bit. One of the next things that a co-pilot is part of their job description: navigation and monitoring. Co-pilots monitor aircraft systems, cross-check information, and assist with navigation, ensuring the aircraft stays on course within safe parameters.
Mm.
So I want to take those two real quick, because the third one is probably where we'll end tonight. Let's take those first two and really look at it in a ministry lens. So again, the first one, crew resource management. Co-pilot plays a vital role in crew resource management, which involves effective communication and teamwork between the flight crew to enhance safety and decision making. I want to start with effective communication.
Mm.
How many of our churches are
Yikes.
plagued with communication breakdown? How many of our ministries are plagued with communication breakdown? And that starts with the leader. I want to talk about communication as I see it misinterpreted. And this might be a life principle. I think there are many people who believe, maybe perceive, communication is mostly communicating information one time. I've seen way too many times in our ministries where information may have been communicated once, and then the expectation from the top was, okay, I communicated the information. I expect y'all to, govern yourselves accordingly. And as a leader, I don't double back. I don't really double check to make sure that, there was nothing confusing about the communication. Nothing got lost in translation. I just feel like that, if there was something confusing, they should have said something to me. Effective communication it starts with the leader, because as a leader, you kind of set the tone. You set the example.
True.
You set that example. So, if it's just, if you just kind of throw it out there and, expect it to stick, as if everybody kind of hears and learns the same way, that's probably not a great tone.
Right.
And it's probably going to set up for a lot of communication breakdown. Should people communicate back if something was maybe misunderstood? Yeah, they should. But sometimes they don't know that they misunderstood something. Sometimes they don't know that they misinterpreted it.
Right.
They don't. So I want to stress the importance of a leader of a ministry setting a communication tone or setting the example of effective communication, of consistent communication, of making or going the extra mile to ensure that the information is received and understood the way it was presented.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. So here's what I'm wrestling with. I know y'all are in and out the comments, but I'm just curious if you tell me, and this doesn't have to be, I guess the word is indicative of your actual church, but on average, we gotta be careful how we say stuff now.
Yeah.
On average, cause Sunday, I'll do it here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna shout this choir out. If you know, you know, and you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give James Scott the love for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The genre of music, the style of music that JC Choir does,
Yeah,
is something that we, at least in the tri-state area,
mm-hmm.
have been longing for to be prominent.
Yeah.
Or to be a highlight of services.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all agree, say Pelzer, I feel where you going, or keep going, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Just say that in the comment section. And here's where I'm going. We have shifted into so many different styles of music that as in the ethnic area of black, right? We miss that good old tambourine and hand clap foot stomp. And I'm not saying they're the only ones doing it. I'm not saying that. Do not come in the comments and say, well, you know, the church over there doing it. My church, before I closed the Southern Baptist Church, I kept that in the mix. Or people highlight, shout out to Marvin and Aranissa over at St. Philip's. They recently had a throwback Sunday. Yeah. Right? I don't have no problem with that, but here's what I'm saying. If somebody would have asked me from a constructive criticism standpoint of view, I told two pastors already, do not call it a back home Sunday hour. Just do it. Yeah. Because when you call it that, then everybody starts doing more of Halloween type stuff. And they try to look like the old Black Baptist church of the 90s and the 70s and the 80s, rather than just come to church like this, but do that and create the atmosphere. Now, if creating the atmosphere, we got to put on 3-piece suits and women got to put on hats. That's fine. Yeah. But if you call it that, you keep it segregated and not a part of what's in us. Case in point, you don't introduce the electric slide. We're going to go way back to the old school electric slide. You don't do the wobble. It's not a throwback. It's an older song, but you play that joint fresh with the new stuff. Just play it. Yeah. You read, the DJs do better than pastors sometimes. A DJ always has to read the room. Always. I have to do photos for a 70-year-old birthday party. Now, it's for a 70-year-old birthday party, so I'm sure the DJ got arsenal, but if you realize that the 70-year-old woman got the moves, then you know to put on you know to put on that Beyonce joint, and you know how to put on you know, throw them hands up. You know to do that because you read in the room. Yeah. Communication. Yes, sir. How many pastors go to the rehearsals? Sit in the choir rehearsal. Right? I mean, sit. Don't just tell me what you want next Sunday. Yeah. Sit in the rehearsal. And then don't take over the rehearsal.
Just sit and observe.
Sit and observe. That's communication.
That's communication.
Right? So the thing is, when you have pastors and leaders, teachers, right? You break all that down. I believe that ministries now they should have teachers that just have nothing else to do but to teach the text. The pastor should be capable of teaching the text, but also to know how to communicate with people. The teacher may not know how to communicate. Some of the most intelligent people come off narcissistic, attitude-ish, too strict to people because they're so focused on this is exactly what it is. Yeah. The preacher knows it, but can articulate it in such a way that's more realistic. So then the pastor, right, is integrated more with the people. And the point that I was making, y'all, is experience. What I'm troubled with now, and I will say the word troubled, not taken back, but just it gets me. It goes along with what I've been saying about the theme of or the wording of consumerism. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Target, Walmart, Costco's, all of that.
Yeah.
They changed the core and stuff. They upgraded the malls. They make it look more beautiful for the same thing they've been doing all years, to shop.
Yeah.
So in church, right, because people are experienced people, I'm not saying we're doing compromise, but we got to know we literally have people come in, they listen to singing,
Mm-hmm.
and in most cases, the singing says, join with me, but most time the people can't join in what you're doing,
Yeah.
so it becomes a performance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we get a word that touches us, and we out the door.
Yeah.
And then we argue we need to be doing a whole bunch in the community and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, and this is what I'm talking about with the JC choir.
Yeah.
You saw on Sunday, everybody's got phones out.
Mm-hmm.
They in the aisle. I mean, shout out to Millicent Hunter and a few other the preachers I seen over that side.
Yeah.
And James is singing. Everybody like, that's it right there. Like, woo!
Mm-hmm.
And they sat down. Everybody, we can go home now.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we're longing for an experience.
Yep.
And the only other experience we get is, a couple speaking in tongues, sow a seed, and you're going to be rich tomorrow. And you walk out shouting until you come back and you realize you ain't get rich off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to manipulate you some more.
Yeah.
And that's the other experience. So the experience is either everything's going to be all right tomorrow, and that's a good experience, or we're missing engagement.
Watch. So let me go here.
Help me.
Engagement, because that's the formula. That's what's on the other side of the equal sign. When you have effective communication, when you have elements of internship in our ministry, and when you have reading a room and being able to connect in a versatile manner, when you put those three together, you have engagement.
Right.
Here's what happens. When those three elements are not present, what we get is we get pastors, we get church leaders, we get music leaders, in essence, talking to themselves. And what do I mean by talking to themselves? Meaning that their agenda is really only to satisfy themselves.
That's the thing. It's the what are you looking for? Like, it's so many. I could really expand this in so many areas. This is why when you have a singing program, the room is more unified than our average churches on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to say it. I've not been to a singing program, like, even if it's a memorial for somebody who passed, I'm pretty sure. And we thank God for the life and ministry of Barbara Wood Farmer. I thought about a song we used to run, Keep On Looking Up.
Yeah.
When it changes from, keep on looking up, then it goes, deliver, keep on looking, boom, 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 boom. We used to kill that reggae joint, man. We like, boom, taka, doom, doom. No matter what the devil puts you through, keep on looking up. We was flipping that song. But it's like, when you think about, like somebody like her passing, the idea is, the struggle is, what kind of program do you have? And do you just do the songs that Barbara Wood Farmer and them did? You do those songs, I'm pretty sure the building is going to be set.
Yeah.
It's going to be a joyous time, a celebration. Of course, we're going to be us, and there's always somebody, do this, blah, blah, blah. It was a long night. But you know what? We had a good time.
Yeah.
You, as a leader, you have to try to make sure that that's happening.
Yes, sir.
And when it doesn't happen, you have to ask, humble yourself and find out.
Yes, sir.
Why is the atmosphere not doing something?
Yeah. Why?
And you have to find out why. So I
Absolutely.
get you on communication, and that's when it digs into being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Of you decide if you want to serve and follow me.
Yeah.
I'm in touch with you to find out what that's going to take, and if we don't have it, how do we get there?
Mm-hmm.
Then the intern part I'm talking about is when every man examines himself. It's not one of them, well, they getting paid, so you got to pay me.
Yeah.
If you need the money, say it from the jump.
From the jump.
But it's got to be people that can serve and help.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
We're just so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling y'all, I look for blessings in areas where it's not directly in where I feel like serving at. Right? It's one of those things where, and every man has to examine themselves and find out what I said before. Think about ministries that you know, if you're not in the church, and ask yourself what God has really gifted and talented you with. Where would you put that, and where would you go even if money wasn't on the other side of it? Can you trust God? Like, who would you help? Who are you seeking? Where are the singers and musicians that are walking into a church to say, I believe that I have something to give and help this ministry out,
Mm-hmm.
and trust God
Yeah.
that you can go there and help. So let's say, like, you, for an example,
Mm-hmm.
you play somewhere and it is your job on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure if you knew a pastor that's like, yo, I like what that guy's doing or that woman's doing.
Yeah.
I can't be here every week.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like playing, but I'll run the board for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'll run the
Yep.
board, and then it's like, I'm doing for a month or two.
Yeah.
Do y'all have somebody in here that can do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think brother so-and-so will be good on there.
Yeah.
I'll come in and train somebody.
Yes, sir.
I'll do that. That's my gift to y'all. I'll train somebody. Now, if
Mhm.
they turn around and say, thank you for training, but the Lord bless him. We got a budget. See how your eyes went up? You like,
Praise God.
I mean, I'm not going to say no.
No.
But see how that works?
Yep.
It's
That's
not.
exactly how it works.
It's not you're going in hungry
Yeah.
and then complaining when you don't get what you want.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me shout out some watchers. 1 Corinthian Nicole,
Correct.
Vicky Caldwell Fordham, Patrice Delicious in the house, Rob Speaks, Reginald Morris, Lady Tiffany Joins, Jermaine Ringo, who else we got? Aunt Schuler, Natalie Bullock, Cheryl Spinner Vaughn, Overseer Ella Andre Person. Thank you all for tuning in.
My girl, that is not a bad word.
No, not at all.
Vicky, that's good. It is not.
And it does not solely mean free.
Right. It turns into, okay, people always like to testify about stuff. Let me testify. I run into photographers that are like, yo, OG, oh, keep doing it. I'm gonna tell y'all, my principle of serving is what gets me gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's my principle of serving is what gets me gigs.
Yeah.
But I've even seen preachers, right? When preachers, y'all gonna be bad with me. When a preacher walks up to another preacher and say, "Oh, you ain't never had me over to preach," you begging.
That's what you're doing.
I'm sorry. In all my years of pastor, it's like you reaching. You can get called to preach just off of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
not off of clips and check me out and all. No, I've gotten people to ask me to come to their church from conversation. not auditioning,
Mm.
right?
Yes,
when
sir.
they hear you talk,
Mhm.
right? So even with photography, it's a digital camera. I got memory cards that you can take 5,000 pictures on it.
Yeah.
And you sitting around stingy in the room. Just go ahead and shoot.
Yeah.
Right? And once you do that, and you cause you wasn't hired that night, so just go ahead and show.
Yeah.
And they'll look and they go, hey, I want you to do this. And that's when you go, these are my services.
There you go.
But if nobody asks you to serve, you have to serve when no one asks. When they don't ask and you serve, then you got to trust. And you don't do it to get the bag. You do it knowing that a consequence of doing is a bag will come.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're not built and driven on that only, you can trust God for it. And I promise you, it happens. Because even in that time, you get yourself together. You tighten yourself up with it.
Absolutely.
It's just not that hard.
It's not that hard, man. It's not that hard. So, going back to again the where the direction I'm headed in regards to the importance of titles. That person in that title, again, I can't stress the importance of setting the example of effective communication, which entails a lot of what we discussed after the effective communication, which was when we arrived at engagement. That's got to be a primary objective of, I would say, the majority of our ministries in our churches and of the church is engagement. It's got to be one of the primary objectives is engagement. It's so important, particularly in the modern day. It's so important, and it takes the right person with the title, the right people with the titles to establish the culture.
Yeah.
Establish the culture. And it could be said that we use that word culture in church very loosely, without really kind of giving let's say putting paint on the canvas. We just kind of throw out that word culture, and we never talk much about it. I'm in the midst of where I serve at. I'm in the midst of, talking with my leadership team about culture setting, about the direction of culture of the music ministry. And I realized that, based on the ministry that I'm serving, and, because it's been established a while, that there are certain challenges with, resetting a culture. There are certain challenges with resetting a culture, and that's not something that you can, it's not microwavable. That's not something that is done in the George Foreman air fryer. Now resetting culture is something that is done in the crock pot.
Right.
That takes time. It takes time. It takes patience. But again, the importance of the right person, people with the titles, setting the example and continuing to set the example. Let me read the last thing I want to do for tonight in regards to my analogy of leader of a ministry in the church should be likened to a co-pilot of an airplane. First thing I talked about was crew resource management. Second thing was navigation and monitoring. Third thing, training of future pilots. The co-pilot position serves as a stepping stone for aspiring captains, providing valuable experience and training in flight operations. Training in flight operations. Training in flight operations. I said that many times to say that we have to position those we serve to serve, or to, let's say, grow. We got to, as that leader, as the person that has a title, we got to position them to grow. We gotta position them not to stay where they are, not to just stay the person you designate to pray every meeting. Not just to stay, the person that takes the meeting minutes.
Right.
That's not training. Not the person that just sends out the emails. Not to stay that person.
Right.
That's not training.
Nope.
That's not training. Now, I am not advocating that there is something bad about delegating different tasks. I am saying we cannot liken that, or cannot lump that in and mask it as development. True. And mask it as growth. That's what I'm saying. Just because you've given people tasks, that is not automatically equal to you pouring in and developing them and positioning them to grow.
Right.
Those two are not the same.
Right.
Any thoughts, bro?
See, what I love about the way you approach this is it gives us the understanding that the direction that ministries are going in has some sort of a corporate like structure. Right. And like you said, with communication, the people have to talk. What my brain just keeps sitting on is, what is the result? Right? Because the Sunday goes by so quick.
Yes, sir.
And the proof is this, y'all. It's when the church has 2 services on a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's how quick it goes by. This is a church, I'm going to keep the name out right now, just for all intent and purposes. I'll just leave the name out. But I've preached at the church and they had a 9 and 11. And it kind of just threw me, because I'm like, wow. I rush down there and we get in there, preach the 9, and you got to go like, it's halftime. You got to get ready and you kick it off again. And then that second crew, is the first crew running the breakfast after service. The second crew is running to the mall after that, or changing before they go out to the afternoon things. And when it's over, right, from what you're saying, you have meetings and team stuff and throughout the week, but I'm like, it's only for the production of 1 hour or an hour and a half. Yeah. There's not enough time for communication. And in the communication that we do have, it all culminates into, we're just spitting out this 1 hour and a half production and we're going to an audience. Yeah. Not the people. Right? So I'm not saying that's what you're doing. Yeah. But in most cases, most people aren't realizing that's exactly what we're doing. And we don't really have, we don't have those circles or that unity where we used to learn songs after church. Yeah. Right? Like we used to sit and learn. It's like, why is it that sports players, right, they play the game. Yeah. And then their leisure time for a basketball player in most cases is in the backyard throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're paid professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, musicians about the same way, aren't we?
Yeah.
We leave off of there and then we sit around playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we have an audience that's their form of entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I went off track with that,
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, but I like that. And then Anthony, he put something in here about being patient, you know, sitting and learning.
Yeah.
And to your point about it's the crew resource management, right? And then that training,
Yes, sir.
you know, and helping. But it's the thing I'm really wrestling with is to lead to what?
Yeah.
You got me?
I got exactly what you're saying. So we got some time to maybe throw this in the mix. Because you bring up a great thought-provoking, you know, point. I can remember being in let's call it worship planning meetings.
Wow.
I can remember being in meetings and, you know, kind of talking about, let's say, the order of service. And, you know, to your point, you know, we're doing a lot of prep for, you know, an hour and a half in many cases, you know. Now, of course, you know, the time frame in terms of why it's only an hour and a half, that's a different conversation. Because, of course, you know, we can think back to the times where, you know, that morning service was 2.5, 3 hours easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Now, we know it's a different day and time. I don't want to open that jar. This is what I do want to say. One of the things that I did offer in that meeting, because it seemed like minds were having trouble meeting just about, you know, possible changes to the structure of the worship service. And, you know, certain things came up, such as, you know, why is this so long? Why is this so short? Right. That's where our minds are not meeting.
Everybody's trying to be production managers.
They got to try and be production manager. So here's one of the things I offer. I said I had to learn this. One of the things I offered is, if the content can breed impact, then the time it's not as I would say it's not as recognizable. What I mean, in essence, what I mean is that from a musical lens, and I've tried to tell others this, particularly that don't have a music background. I would try to tell, listen, when you look at the average song is 4 to 5 minutes, right?
Right.
All right. So in most people's mind, if the music group for the day is asked to sing 3 songs in a spot in the service, right? Then the average thinker is believing that that's going to take 12 to 15 minutes.
Right.
The musical person, they don't think about that. They don't necessarily think about that as 3 songs. They think about it as 12 to 15 minutes. Why? Because we can do 6 songs in 12 to 15 minutes, based on the arrangement.
Right.
Now that's a language that if you're not musical, you don't speak. But that's pretty much the point I was getting to, is whatever time that we allot, make sure the content can breed impact.
Right.
And then you're not really looking at how much time it took. You're only focusing on the impact it had.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. And I'm hoping that, you know, maybe anybody that's listening, anybody that may be part of worship plan at your church is listening, and you know, you maybe found yourself in a similar conversation. Maybe that's something that kind of can help move things along, because again, I've seen that the perspective a lot of times is, you know, we can't, you know, the average attention span in 2025
Right,
is an
right.
hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
So, if we go too far over an hour and 15 minutes, we start losing people.
Yep.
We kind of take that statistics route. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's a tool for understanding engagement.
Right.
Understand engagement, how to engage your people. And you may have people, you may have a church body that they have a longer attention span.
Right.
Now, even in that, I would offer you still want to make sure that content can breed impact.
Yes.
You
Yes.
still whether you got a longer time than most churches or you got a shorter time, you still want to make sure it breeds impact.
Yeah.
And that's just from the musical lens.
Mhm.
Obviously if we go down the preacher, the preacher lens and we look at, I would say the modern day pastor, most of them, because of those statistics and because of, those projections, they're trying to keep their sermon time right around 30 to 40 minutes.
Right. And there's a constructive component to that. Because I have learned, the hard way of when so there was the cut across the field just hit you below the gut.
Yeah.
That was long.
Yeah.
Then once you learn to shorten it, it was you sound like you were rushing through it.
Yeah.
And then there's this self-examination that says, what's the point I'm trying to make here?
Yeah.
Right? What is if you and I, we bowl.
Yeah.
So if we in the league on Monday and you like, well, Pelzer, what you preach yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say it's only 5 bowlers.
Yeah.
So I gotta get it done. And if everybody throw a strike, I gotta be done quicker.
Yep.
Because now it's your turn or my turn. I don't have time to give you the whole damn sermon, right? It's like cut across the field, Negro, right? So the thing is, it's like, or our white friends that we bowl with.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, what you preach yesterday, Reverend? You can't give a won't he do it? I know. You can't. Hey, country boy ain't know that, right?
Mhm.
He trying to make America great again.
Yeah.
He don't know what you're talking about. He just asked you what the sermon was, right?
Yep.
Because they respect you as a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
You got cut across the field. So you learn, wow, let me just get to this point, and I don't need a whole 40 minutes to get to the point.
Yeah.
Or if I'm standing up for more than 40 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
it got to be something else.
Yeah.
Right? It got to be something I saw in it. But when you stand up, it's like, what are we trying to say today?
Yes, sir.
That segues into, this is a good way to, as we start on a descent, your words on communication.
Yeah.
Because if I have to preach and I need you to play, I can tell you what I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
Or how I want to land.
Yes, sir.
I may hoop, I may jump off the pulpit, I may run down the aisle. But when I'm done, I'm praying that people get forgiveness.
Yeah.
In their mindset. Like
Yes,
it's Resurrection Sunday coming up.
Yes,
so preachers have to think we want people to know
Mm-hmm.
that Christ did it just for you.
Yes, sir.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
And I don't know everything it looks like, but if I'm communicating,
Yeah.
you like, we got something for you.
Absolutely.
Right? You trying to end it on a
Yeah.
we got something for you.
Yeah.
Or you trying to end it on
Yep.
got you.
Yeah.
And I don't have to non-musically be in your space to tell you what that means.
No.
But you serving and you in communication,
Can
you're
interpret.
like, got it. Your singers get it.
Yeah.
So it's not, yo, woo,
Yeah.
get it, girl. She's singing.
Yeah.
That's not what Reverend
That's
don't
not-
want it there.
Yeah.
And Reverend don't need everybody to be like, that boy good.
Yeah.
No, to God be the glory.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the next Sunday we may need it on some.
Yeah.
I want you to drive that song.
Absolutely.
Get them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Or I need that click track.
Yeah.
I'm not mad with intentional people.
And man,
That's if you intentional, all we gonna do is shout.
yeah.
Listen, Keith Pelzer is the guy that's gonna do it. Shout out to Buster Fields. I'm gonna tell you why. Cause the one thing I know, when I went past there, And if I ever decide to go in there, I kind of know what to expect. I'm not limiting him or anything.
Yeah.
Austin leaves from E9 and he goes to Buster Fields Church.
Yeah.
Two different scenarios.
But
when I see a clip from Buster's church, I know that the energy level, I'll say the spirit, but the energy level, for lack of words, is somewhere, is more than likely going to be here.
Yeah.
Y'all can fight me on this, and I know some churches, I have no expectation that I'm going to feel something other than getting a good word. Meaning, shout out to all the preachers, I'm going to get good information, but I have no expectation that, this going to be turned up.
Yeah.
Right? And my words are turned up,
energy.
or it's high energy. And those words aren't bad or,
at all.
Lack of doctrinal teaching. I'm not saying
it's a different environment.
Everybody's preaching the cross. Got it. But there are certain churches, that when you go there, sidebar, back in the day, when we had afternoon services, shout out everybody that had afternoon services, say amen. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Amen.
There were certain churches that pastor had to preach at. You like, they gonna be dry. Then there was other churches you like, it's gonna be lit.
Yeah. It's gonna be all one.
Yeah, that ain't mean you were sinful, but you might have been going through something. And today, I do need a praise break.
Yeah.
I've been there before. It's like, hey, you don't need all that shouting and stuff. No, I've come to the point where I'm like, we do need praise breaks.
Yeah.
Do you? Whatever you got to do it.
Yeah.
We do need a praise break. This is your time of expression. The way if you want to dance, cool. You ain't got to lie and say something took over me and start moving my feet. No, I learned these steps and I'm giving God praise in that.
Goes back to what you said about reading the room.
Reading the room.
Goes right back there. Listen, we getting out of here today. Dr. Zach Williams, thanks for joining us. Pastor Brandon Joins, thanks for joining us. Derek Green, thank you all for tuning in. Listen, put the fries in the bag.
Brandon. I love you,
put
bro.
Put the fries in the bag. But listen, we are getting out of here. I do want to let you know this. We'll be back next week, but I want to put this bug in everybody's ear. We are planning a live with audience show. We are planning a live with audience show this year. So please stay tuned for that. Please stay tuned, because we're more than likely not going to live stream it. We're going to record it and post it later. But we are planning a live on-site show with an audience. So please stay tuned. Getting out of here, I'm D. Brister. We'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Shout out to Jay Morris in his absence. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sparked up. Darren put me at this table back here. If y'all want to hear more of the Keith rants, y'all stay tuned, because I'm about to start ranting. Because that little past situation, I dug in, and I think I have a voice for. I'm gonna go back to my pandemic voice. I have a voice for people that just don't know how to say it, and how to connect this stuff that we're saying. And I'm praying for all of us out there that are looking. I think everybody's looking for church in a way that I want to say this. It's not about satisfying me in an ungodly way or off spiritual integrity way. It's just being honest, as much as a party you wouldn't go to.
Yeah.
A concert you wouldn't go to.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad. It's just, it don't do nothing for you. Right? But it doesn't mean you don't like music.
Yeah.
And once again, to the late great Barbara Wood Farmer, and the video clip that John Roberts put up of the recording and the many recordings that happened at Ford Memorial. Shout out to the late Bishop Andrew Ford. There was something about the culture context of that that we needed, especially us black folk in Philly. We needed that.
Mm-hmm.
Triumph can't do it.
No.
E9 can't do it. Sharon Baptist technically can't do it.
No.
They can. It's possible in all the three churches I named. That's just a few.
Mm-hmm.
But it's we have to pray and lift that type of culture environment while also respecting our great leaders and teachers and all of the diversities that we have. But we need the ministry 5 spot again. And then we need people, because the industry did it. Keith closing, I promise y'all. The industry did it to the neo soul movement. LA and Babyface. What's the other two? It's LA and Babyface. The other two. Then there was Puffy. There was Def Jam. All of these big companies came down into Philly to see what were we doing.
Yeah.
This is how leaders should be. There's that cultural movement and sound that we like.
Yeah.
And with the next singing program, pastors gotta be in the house.
Yeah.
Not judging and saying, oh, y'all doing too much. Just observe.
Yeah.
Because you are hiring these people and you're extracting that one little piece to lift up your service on a Sunday, but you can't meet them where you found them at.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You got to come out and just be in the mix to understand the worship leaders that are off balance in your Sunday morning service. Follow them to where they're hanging out at.
Yeah.
And just see, so you get an understanding a little more of what they're going through. Show that you have relationship.
Yes, sir.
Show the communication, and then our churches will be better.
Yes,
Nicely in part, that shenanigans there, right?
Yeah.
The singing was cool until Buddy got up and just was way out of context.
Yeah.
I'm not beating up on him. I'm just saying, that's not real doctrine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I ain't saying don't go around them place, but I want to let you know. So now you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Follow them.
Yeah.
To help them.
Absolutely.
Follow the musician to help them. Catch them smoking. Don't take none with them, but just catch them. And then when they go, it's like, go ahead, finish it. You good? Promise you to change. I promise you, you got to roll up on them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help somebody up in here. Man, church folk be too bougie, man, lying to yourselves. Follow them. Meet them where they are.
Yes, sir.
We
Yes,
out
sir.
of here. I'm so sorry.
All
Y'all
good,
pray
man.
my strength. Keep this.
His strength with an F.
Y'all type strength in the comment section. Pray his strength. Let me find something to get us out of here. Just say pray his strength. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what kind of music I got. What is this going on?
We'll find out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
In conjunction. I cannot see him on the left, but he knows the way I take. I cannot
I'm gonna get that voice.
see him on the right hand.
Yeah.
He knows.
You know that. I got that. You know. Can you play that? You good, Darren? You can do that. Yeah, nah.
I'm looking
Nah.
at the future and I can't see him.
No, nah.
But
But
He knows.
he knows. I'm gonna get it.
Let's go. Everybody just clap like this. Just clap your hands like this. Come on. Yeah, it's all right to clap. Listen, we gonna take y'all back a little bit. One of my favorite songs in the world. Check it, listen. Break it down. So he keeps doing great things for me.